Hello, my name is Helen May. I'm a senior solution consultant working for Symphony AI. I'm here today to present and demo to you our Symphony AI solution. I guess you've noticed one thing, I'm not live like most of the other presenters. Unfortunately, I've had to record this session. The reason for that is maybe you can see I've been in the wars a little recently, and as a result, I will be undertaking some surgery to hopefully correct this, whilst the rest of you are listening to the great demos that we're having today. I'm not leaving you alone. Whilst I'm under the knife, my colleagues Ikram and Ravi will be here to answer any questions that you have. So please feel free to submit some questions. They'll be answering your questions as we're going through. And at the end, there'll be a session for them to talk through those questions. Today, I'm here to talk about customer satisfaction from the agents, from AI with the agents. So agents or analysts, whichever you'd like to call it. But I guess, first of all, we have to do the obligatory bit about our company. As we are Symphony AI, AI appears a lot within what we're doing. Our mission is to build a leading enterprise AI SaaS company. And we're doing that through a number of divisions from retail, finance, industrial, and our division, the enterprise IT division. And we're using AI in ways like within the retail, we're looking at shelf layouts, our recommendations on where we should place goods on shelves in the shops, or which items we should provide for, 2-for-1 offers, things like that. Within the finance sector, we're using AI for detecting fraud. So we're using AI in many different ways within our company. And today I hope to talk to you about how we're doing that within the enterprise IT division with our ITSM solution. So what is our solution? Enterprise IT, enterprise service management, however you'd like us to phrase it. I guess that the part that we're going to talk mostly about today is the IT service management part, the bottom left here, in which we provide multi-tenancy reporting, ability to raise incidents and service requests and change requests, problems, those kind of things. Today, I won't go into our no-code, low-code design studio, but that just to give you an idea, we're using that for you to customize your solution, to adapt it to your processes, adapt it to your look and feel, forms, things like that, just as you would like it. Our solution is not just usable within IT service management, it's usable within full enterprise service management, whether that HR, facilities, maybe a legal team or finance team. Any team can use our solution, which we call Apex. We've also as part of Apex, we've got our asset management, so including discovery and the software lifecycle, asset lifecycle. We've got automation, so we've got an agentless or agent architecture, which allows you to do automation. So things like the service catalog can be automated. For example, maybe you want to create a guest Wi-Fi command login or VPN access, those kind of things, and we can automate those through integration with other solutions. And finally, the part that we'll be speaking mostly about today, but we'll also touch on a few of the others, is our generative AI Copilot. And that allows everything from the user right through to the agent and also any management side. So I'll show you some of that as we're going through. The topic today is about enhancing customer experience. So what do we really mean by enhanced customer experience? So let's take us out of ITSM, not what's good customer experience for ITSM, but what's good customer experience. That's where we look at the top row. The good customer experience is that they never need to look at ITSM. They never need to raise a service request. Everything works first time. It never breaks. If you want a new tool, well, actually, it's not a new tool. You've got it available to you immediately. Everything's kind of there at your fingertips just as you need it. Okay, we'll leave Nirvana behind a little bit and let's have a look at maybe the real world where we've occasionally got some, maybe things don't work, or maybe you don't know how things work. So then you'll need to raise an incident, or you want to add a new tool or access a new system. And in those cases, you need to access a service catalog. Whatever we're doing, we want it to be easy to report. Something that you don't have to spend your time going through a cryptic user interface. You can just easily report it and get those information and get the information that's needed within your ticket. The next one is a fast response. So it's all very well being able to raise those incidents, but what if it then takes half an hour or an hour or a couple of days before anyone comes back to you and tells you they're working on it or asks you any questions about it? So we want something fast, but ultimately what we really want is a fast resolution. So we want those tickets to be resolved as quickly as possible. We want them to be, and then as we're doing that, we want a clear communication. So we want to be told that someone's working on it. We want to be told that it's resolved. If we have any questions, those questions need to be asked in my language, not the geek language of the agent, for example, but actually the agent that the end user is speaking. We want to be sympathetic. We want to understand, empathize with any issues that they're having. And then when that solution is resolved, I want to be sure it really is resolved. I don't want it to be resolved just for my specific problem, and then I find out that the guy I sit next to has the same problem and has to raise another ticket, or I don't want it solved for only those particular variables, categories that I put in, but not for everything. I want it to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So I want to make sure that, it's a problem, I can raise a problem, it's responded to quickly, politely, and that's it, it's resolved. So what does that really mean? When I'm actually raising an instance as a user, I report it, I get someone else, the agent is going to investigate it, perform some corrective action, might require me to do something, might require them to do something, got some follow-up, root cause analysis is done, and then preventative action to stop that same thing happening again. So that will be the standard process. That's what the process is, what I'm sure everyone goes through, something like that. But actually, how often is it not quite like that? How often is it we log onto the system and we can't work out what we're going to need to do? We can't decide whether, is it an incident? Is it a service request? Is it hardware related? Is it software related? Why do I need to decide that? Then it goes off to be investigated and I get asked lots of questions. And I might be asked loads of questions because I didn't explain it very well. I might be asked lots of questions because it's complex. I might be asked lots of questions because actually it's not my key thing to be sitting there answering questions related to this incident. As a result, it might take a while for me to get back, and by which time the agent that asked the question is now on shift, on the next shift. So we moved over to a new agent. That agent has different ideas. He'll ask a different question. It might go through a number of agents. Then they all start, asking the same questions that we've seen before. It can get very, very frustrating. Eventually, someone might come up with a suggestion of how to fix it and give me the corrective action, but it doesn't work. So we go back and we get more questions and we get more follow-up. And eventually, maybe it'll work. Root cause analysis, I said that process I mentioned earlier, that process in blue always happens. I know. I'm not convinced the root cause analysis happens every time. In fact, I know it doesn't happen every time. It's not because people are bad. It's because there's just so many other things that they need to do that they can't sit down and work through, again, all of those issues we may have had, as I say, multiple corrective actions, which was the one that worked, in which case that leads to what the root cause analysis is. So this might not happen. And then preventative action, again, we don't look at the problem, the overall problem. we need something to make sure there's nothing else related to it. So it's fixed for my case. It's not fixed for the guy that's sitting next to me. So what we're going to look at is our Apex solution. We're going to look at it's the sort of what we're available from the AI Copilot. And I will touch on the Copilot for the end user. We spend most of our time looking at it from the analyst or the agent, and then maybe touch a little bit also about IT leadership. So they might be able to get some value out of Copilot, see what value we can get for them as well. So I guess that's what we're here for, is to see the demo. So let me bring up the demo and let me show you our solution. So this is Apex that I'm showing you here. I'm logged on at the moment as Ryan. Ryan is one of our end users. Ryan raises a lot of tickets. I guess that's the consequence of him being the demo guy. So you'll see as we go through, he's got quite a few tickets he's already raised, 146 of them, and only 31 of them resolved. It's not a real environment. We can see the portal. So Ryan comes into this portal. He can start searching for previous incidents he's done, or service requests, or even knowledge articles. So we've got that ability to do a search through there. Or he can raise an incident, log a request, etc. We can see some metrics about what he's been doing. Most of his tickets have been assigned to someone. Most of them being assigned to the same work group as well. And then we can have a look at his last incidents and requests that he's been raising. This portal is completely customizable. We can have a nice picture here about, I don't know, a sunny beach, because it's pouring down with rain at the moment. So let's have a look at a sunny beach instead. So something feeling a bit more positive. We might have some different buttons on here, might be interested in different graphs. We can customize it to make sure it's what that user wants. And this is, I touched on that low code, no code. I won't go into how we do it. We can do that as a different topic on another day, but this allows you to do that customization. So let's have a look at the Copilot. So Ryan has got an issue where my Outlook, let's start. So it's simple, something simple. It doesn't start, you know, the usual case. I double click on the icon, nothing happens. So I've raised this. The first thing that a Copilot's doing is going and have a look at knowledge articles to see if there are any knowledge articles, anything that will give you some hints of what we can do. And that's what we've come back. So rather than just coming back with saying, go read this knowledge article, which is what I get if I click on more details here, the Copilot has been intelligent enough to understand which bits of the article are relevant and pulled those out, and it's given me information about checking the internet connection, restarting, disabling add-ons, repairing any files, these kind of things. But it does at the end give me that chance, so it's not a single step conversation. It says, well, has that resolved my issue or not? So you have to bear in mind, promise I've been off and made all these checks. So I'll say no if it hasn't helped. So it hasn't helped that issue. I've tried, you know, it's the right email account settings and all those kind of things. So it's come back, it's raised a ticket for me. So as an end user, I haven't had to type anything in apart from ask that question about where my issues are. So it's automatically raised the incident, so we can have a look at that incident and have a look at that ticket. And as we're starting it, so it said it fails to start. It's not starting despite trying the different troubleshooting steps mentioned in the knowledge article. So it's aware that it's given me that knowledge article details, so I can pass that on to the agent when they pick up this incident. Actually, I can also add a few things myself. So I want to say that I've looked in, let me see. Excuse me for not talking through it. I'm only typing one-handed. It slows things down a little bit. So just adding a little bit more information, a little bit color to that, as I started, I'm reasonably sort of IT literate, so I can do that. I can go back in, I see that's there. And actually, I've just remembered, yesterday, I applied a Windows patch. So maybe that's relevant. Again, I'll add that onto there. So now there's a little bit more information when the agent starts looking at that ticket. So let's jump in. Let's have a look at what's going on from the agent. So agent's called Frederick. He's got, as you see, a different portal. We can have a number of different portals for different roles as we're going through. So Frederick, he can do that search, but actually he can search for change and problem records as well. He's only working on 2 incidents at the moment. He's got 56 problem records. We've got quite a lot of critical tasks, and we can also see what his team. So we've got the concept of, the work groups, and we can look at the different teams and what they're working on. And again, we've got some graphs, but let's have a look at the incidents that his team's working on. And if we look at these, we'll see the very first one at the top there is the one that we've just been looking at with Ryan. So this is that ticket, exactly the same as we saw before. It failed to start. It's not starting despite trying different troubleshooting methods. We've got that information. If we look at the messages, so we see, yesterday I applied a patch, task manager starts and stops, that kind of information we've got within there. All sorts of things. We've got information already available. Now, this one's been assigned. How do we know to assign it? Who was it assigned to? Well, actually, we've got something called AI suggestions. So when an incident is raised, AI will predict things like the category or the impact, urgency, things like that, based on historic data. So it's looking through on that historic data, and it said, actually, Maxwell's pretty good at solving these issues, so let's assign it to Maxwell. We've got this chance to say, actually, no, I don't want to do that. That's not the right work group. Maxwell's not the right analyst to work on these kind of things. So we can make changes if we require, and then we'll see that, the impact of the urgency, those kind of things will appear. You can also see another thing that we've done with AI. So our co-pilot has been looking at historic data again, but also reading the sentiment of the messaging that I've put. I've gone back and said twice, here's some more information, here's some more information. So that's given that idea I'm getting a bit maybe agitated. So I might be more likely to escalate based on that. In this case, it's only come to one agent, but let's have a sort of scenario that we talked about before, where it's come to me, I've asked some questions, I then go off shift, it goes to another engineer, they ask some questions, goes to another one, kind of thing. How do we get that summary? The messages are pretty short at the moment, but imagine this as a long list of messages, a long story of what's been going on, maybe a private log, so a talk about between the agents themselves. It's still quite a lot to have to read through when you pick up that ticket. So what we can do is generate some insights. So this again is AI. It's looking through that ticket, understanding things, so giving that a summary, so when it was solved. They've just tried different methods and it's just not starting. I've done as a user, I did some, Ryan did some investigation about Task Manager, and I've also mentioned the Windows patch. So that's already provided in here. We've given that sentiment. It's quite negative, bit frustration. I've tried a few things. So it's even given some suggestions. So, improve that sentiment by acknowledging their frustration, apologizing, and giving some solutions to troubleshoot and have a look and just, resolve that issue. And here's some of the suggestions for those troubleshooting, looking for conflicting applications. So this is not just looking at what's written on that particular ticket, but also looking at history, also looking at knowledge articles to find suggestions of what we can do here, recommend the next steps. So the agent hasn't had to go back and look through all those other similar tickets. Frederick or Maxwell, neither of them have had to pull down the knowledge article. We've got all that lot in here to make those suggestions. So we can go into, let's have a look at the troubleshooting. So we have some suggestions there. Well, actually, if you remember, Ryan mentioned that a Windows patch had been applied. So the problem is Outlook's not starting. So I'm going to propose that the cause is an incompatible patch. And as a result, I'm going to suggest we roll back that patch. So now we've got, the first kind of thing, troubleshooting is suggesting we roll back the patch. We might, again, have a number of these items here. It might not just be one, it might be more of those. So we can go through and add extra things to the diagnostics and give in some more information. Well, thankfully, that actually did resolve the issue. So we can now look at the solution. So resolution code, it was successful. Got to put in a solution. We've got to do that root cause analysis. You remember how, getting back to explaining what the resolution was, putting in the root cause analysis, all that kind of thing. Well, maybe AI can help. So let's see what we can do with AI in this situation. So let's have a look at how generating a summary. And here, we've got a number of it talks about things, troubleshooting steps, etc. So we've got that information here. It's gone through that ticket, pulled in that ticket. I can append it to the solution. I could have copied it. So, append or copy maybe the stuff I've already written. And I could even go the next step is create a knowledge article based on it. So next person that comes across that issue, then they'll find out, oh, it's that Windows patch. I can give some information, but maybe put some more information about which particular Windows patch and how it's incompatible. I'll cancel that and just go back to our list of tickets again. So we've got that thing, we've solved it for one case, but maybe there's other things that are related. Maybe there's something else that's very similar. So what we can do is we call incident clustering. So what this is doing is our co-pilot is using, again, machine learning to an AI to go through and look at particular incidents, see whether there's anything related. In this case, we haven't got many incidents here. And there's nothing particularly related to other things. So we've got a VPN issue and an SAP one. So there's nothing similar to what Ryan's come up with. So we've got nothing there that we need to do any clustering for. So we can go ahead, close it, be reasonably comfortable that we've resolved it for this case. The last thing I want to look at is that kind of management side. So, our agents, they've got a management team. The management team might be interested in what's going on. They can log into Apex, but I also have a great opportunity to show you that we've also got that within our teams. So our co-pilot can work within teams. So as a manager, what I might be interested in is how many open incidents. Again, I'm going to use the excuse of having one hand. If I make any typing mistakes, it's because I'm doing it with one hand. So I just want to know how many open incidents are there. And our co-pilot at this point should be going back through all of the incidents, trying to understand, trying to look at those ones, understanding what we mean by open. So, it could be a new ticket, it could be in progress, it could be assigned. So I understand, it understands that concept of open, having different categories. And so it's pulling in, based on that, it's looking at what's going on at the moment. So currently there's 1,178 open tickets. So we've given some information about the top 5. So it's given even more. And I could ask if I wanted more of this, I can click on these and drill into these particular ones. Actually, thinking about it, I'm not just interested in the open ones. Actually, I want to know how many are in the no one's touched at the moment. So what I'm wanting to know is how many of that new status, how many have, people have raised incidents and then they've been sitting around for a while, not knowing what's going on with these incidents. They haven't had any feedback. It's never been assigned to anyone. So how many of those, maybe those as a manager, those are the ones that I'm interested in at the moment. Or it might be something like how many have been open for the longest, or those kind of things. I can ask some questions that are related to that. So not just looking only for the new ones. And we've got 36 new ones, and here's some of those new ones that we've got listed here. So here's some, again, that haven't been looked at. Maybe I want to look at something else. So I know those are the tickets, and maybe some trends going on. What's relevant? Have things changed over time? So are there any trends? Are there any anything which is specific? Anything that I need to keep an eye out for as a manager? Anything I need to, mention to my engineers to focus on, or provide some more training to the agents who are working on it? So this has come up and given me some information about some things. How much in this case they've come back with how many tickets have been raised over the last week. So in the weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're seeing overall the trend is a rise in the number of tickets that are being raised. So that gives you an idea of some of the things that we can do with our co-pilot. So let me just go back to the demo, back to the presentation, remind you of what we've just done with those AI-enabled agents. So it's slightly different. So the incident was reported, the issue was reported. Using that AI suggestions, it was assigned to an agent. So we didn't have to wait. We didn't have to have a level 1 that then decides which of the agent to work on. We didn't have to set up a load of complex rules to do that. We could use the historic data to understand that Maxwell has got the knowledge to do this. He's also likely got some time to do this. His workload's not so great. So we're able to assign it to the agent, and the AI was able to do that. Maxwell and Frederick, both of those guys were working on the ticket. So when they were investigating, maybe they had some questions backwards and forwards. They had to look back in the history. Well, those insights, those AI insights, gave me some information about what was going on with the ticket, where we were going. It gave me some suggestions for investigation, for troubleshooting, and also made sure that the user was, had a message that was, positive. I understood and gave them some empathy as we were going through. So, the insights were able to, provide the follow-up to the customer in the right tone, those kind of things we were able to do. And we came up with a resolution. And within that resolution, we were able to provide the root cause analysis because we'd been through it, pulled in the information, what was actually causing the problem. So we could, not just give a summary, we could give that root cause analysis. We also, although it's not shown in here, we also could provide that knowledge article. So move on to the next step, that if it did ever happen again, we've got a knowledge article for it. But we use that instant clusters feature to see if there was anything else related to it, and there wasn't in this case. But we could have, if there was, provided some preventative action there as well. So the AI was able to help us as we were going through this. So not just using AI to create the issue, not just the AI from the user perspective, but our agent was able to use that to make their job easier, and ultimately respond faster, respond in the right tone, and the user was happy with the resolution. So, when I submitted this topic to SITS for this presentation for today, we have the title, Enhancing Customer Satisfaction Through AI-Enabled Agents, and this was the description I gave. Customer satisfaction depends on delivering a service that's reliable, consistent, highly responsive, and key factors include the technical competence of the team, the ability to understand and empathize with the customer concerns, and the speed at which the issues are resolved. So, using AI, that means it's reliable, available 24/7. It's consistent because we're getting those guidance of what to do. Responsive because it's assigned to a user straight away, an analyst straight away. Keeping track of that. We're keeping track of, the understand and empathizing. That sentiment part gave us that chance to do that. Empathizing gave us some ideas of where we need to focus, where we didn't. Technical competency. So again, the technical competency came from the troubleshooting steps that were suggested. It meant that an agent who maybe hadn't been working on this system for as long was already had some ideas of where they needed to investigate. We didn't have to give this to Frederick as the only person, or Maxwell as the only person that could do this. It was possible it could have gone to a new user, a Grace or someone like that who's relatively new, because we've got those steps, we've got that information, we've got that technical competence that's provided by the AI, and ultimately they're resolved fast, they're resolved much quicker because we've got all this within there. So thank you very much for your time. As I said, Ikram and Ravi are available to answer your questions. But if you have anything later, you want to talk to me, ask how my arm's going or anything else, please feel free to contact me or Ikram or Ravi, and our details are here. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for listening.